no more room in hell. The dead will walk the earth.
Hello everyone, this is your old pal, Lord Dixie, coming at you today with just a few quick thoughts on the movie Wonder Woman. And bear with me because I'm not used to doing video yet. I'm trying to make myself more used to it before I get into more heavy duty stuff. But anyway, Wonder Woman, it's a blockbuster, one of the biggest summer hits I think ever as far as money made. It's doing gangbusters at the theaters, and it's a great movie. I got to catch it Friday night and loved it. Blew me away. It's definitely my favorite DC superhero comic book movie since The Dark Knight. One of my favorite comic book films of all of Marvel and DC, honestly. It's right up there with the very best that Marvel has done. Now, I'm not that familiar with the character of Wonder Woman from the comics. My main introduction, my main knowledge about the character comes from the Linda Carter classic series in the late 70s, or in the 70s, which I grew up watching, was a huge fan of that. Watched probably every male in that age range was in love with Linda Carter back then. So I can't remember ever reading the comics as a child. I'm sure I came across her in Justice League and Batman Superman, the old Justice League cartoons. But I grew up as more of a Marvel fan overall. I read mostly Marvel comic books, so I don't know that much about the character as far as her villain, her rogues gallery. I knew the very basics that we all know, that she came from an island, Themyscira, if I'm probably slaughtering the pronunciation of it, a island of Amazons, Amazon warriors from the old Greek legends of the Amazonians. She came to America in the comics, I believe, and in the 70s TV show, she came to America to help fight against the Nazis. Then the show jumped forward in time to modern times. The movie is set during World War I. The new movie, the one with Gal Gadot, is set during World War I, which is a little bit of a change. And I've heard some criticism because it was set during World War I versus being set during World War II, that the movie did that to play up to German audiences that don't want to remember that period of time, which I can't blame them. I mean, it wasn't exactly a great period of time for Germany or the German people, for the world during the 40s. And I honestly, I can understand why they would be a little reluctant to go see a movie where they are the bad guys. However, mostly the German people are the bad guys in this movie. Anyway, I don't know what the thinking was, is not setting it during the Nazi period. My personal idea is that we have such an image of World War II, good versus evil. The Nazis were the epitome of evil, and still are. To any thinking person, Nazis are the epitome of evil. And in Wonder Woman, there was more of the story of like, there was good and bad in both sides during the war. That it wasn't necessarily this evil Germans. Although Wonder Woman at the beginning is under this impression that the British, the American, the Allies are all wonderful, saintly people fighting against the evil German army. She comes to the realization during the film that there's good and evil on both sides. And you actually do see the average German soldier toward the end being played in somewhat of a sympathetic, to some extent, mode. And she does see that there is actual evil among the Allies, and they've done things during the war that they're not proud of. So I think that was the main reason not setting it during the World War II period. I just don't think most audiences would get deep enough into it to think, oh wow, these Nazis weren't all bad. And I know, if you're a historian, that not every German soldier during World War II was a member of the Nazi Party. Not every German soldier was evil. Movies don't usually go that deep into, and that would just cause more confusion, cause people to think a lot deeper than they really need to. So I do think that's why they set during World War I, more so than any attempt to play up to the German people, because obviously it was still the Allies versus the Axis power, well, not the Axis powers, the Central Powers, I believe they were called during World War I. it was still the Allies, the Brits, the Americans versus the Germans. So I think if they were going to completely play up to the German people or the German market, I think they would have totally changed that setting. Probably set it in the modern times, how they're fighting terrorists or some shit like that. But anyway, like I said, this was one of my favorite superhero movies. The character is played wonderfully by Gal Gadot, who's absolutely gorgeous. I would say she's up there with Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man and Hugh Jackman for Wolverine as born to play this character. She reminds me a lot facially of Linda Carter in the film. You can knock me up for saying that. Not knock me up. You can attack me for saying that, but I really did see some similarities in the face. She's probably a little bit more athletic build than Linda, but she was absolutely marvelous. Great acting. I don't know if this was her first film. I haven't dug that deep. It's her first major role, definitely, and it's going to make her a superstar. It already has. If you have not seen Wonder Woman, go see it. It's a great film for young girls. It's a great film for boys. It's a strong female character, but it does not do that to the extent of making the men look helpless, weak, necessarily evil. Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, is a capable soldier, capable spy, decent guy who, like everyone else, has his flaws. At no point does Wonder Woman have to rely on him, but at the same time, they complement each other, if that makes any sense. He's obviously not superhuman, not superpowered. She saves his life, he saves her life. I think it's a good story. Like I said, it has a strong female character. It's something that little girls can look up to and see, wow, this is a strong woman who's able to go it on her own. But at the same time, like I said, it doesn't portray men as being inherently evil. Chris Pine's a great character, great actor. Steve Trevor is a great character. I don't want to give away any spoilers about the ending of it. It's a wonderful movie. What else can I say? Great acting by Gadot, great acting by Pine. David Thewlis is also in it. Large supporting cast. Like I said, it's going to be one of my favorite comic book movies. I think it is right up there with Captain America Civil War, The Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians is probably my favorite Marvel movie of all, and Wonder Woman is going to be real close to it. And I hope DC can continue the magic through Justice League. I saw the trailer for the Justice League before Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman and The Flash actually stood out in that more than anything else. Jason Momoa as Aquaman looks extremely impressive, but we'll have to wait till we see how he actually handles the character. That's all I got. Sippy sippy. And stay tuned. I might do more of these as I get more used to being on camera and talking on my thoughts. And if so, we will see you later. If not, have fun.